what would be the one, and this is kind of shorter,
right,
core piece of advice you'd recommend for someone to grow their account quickly? That could be consistency. That can be finding like an aesthetic. It could be
don't worry about aesthetic,
frequency. So dive in.
Content, just as much content as possible. That is like, I think it's the 3 E's: engaging, educational, and exciting.
It's Tom.
It's Jake. You already know. It's pretty spot on. All right, ready?
Cool. We are back for another quick take.
Yes, we are. We're back in LA at your studio for another one. We're trying to knock out a bunch today. So we want to be more consistent, but again, I think you guys heard it in the last episode. We're here working on a bunch of projects. So wanted to knock out another one for you guys while we're both together here. So I just took to my Instagram and was just like, cause it's like at a certain point, like there's topics that like we know, like we would find interesting to talk about or would want to talk about, but like, would you guys find it interesting? And so I posed a question just now while we were shooting one of the other episodes and asked like, hey, what topic do you guys want to see? And this guy asked social media, ? How it helped your business ventures and how it can be best utilized by filmmakers. And this was submitted by smo.media. So shout out to Steven, appreciate your question. He's a video creator out of Whittier, California. So I mean, social media, I think that is something that's super important, and maybe a lot of people like that are in the industry don't super focus on, and like it can be super beneficial to your career as a filmmaker coming up. But even if you are established, and just also if you want to start any business or outside venture outside of just filmmaking, if you're a cinematographer, like the bigger of a following or social presence you have, it makes it easier to branch out and to start other businesses and ventures. And we've seen that firsthand with just like, obviously my following coming up on YouTube and Instagram, and we're able to pretty much parlay that into all the businesses that we ended up starting together. And you have just like an instant, basically like clientele base that you can like naturally pitch to, that people are warm to and want to be, customers of or be supporters of. But if I was a nobody, but still had a successful film career, but I had no social presence or following via any channels, it would make it very hard to like start and get a business up and running.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? So
I even feel like in the but in the instances where we've made a new account to, basically kind of be the first signaling of a new company, and even having your personal page or some of the other Instagrams that we've built up, just say, hey, go give this a follow within like a day or two, just seeing it go up like a couple thousand, like that wouldn't happen. And not that really, I just think it's like a great way to like kind of tap into your core audience if you actually have an audience.
Well, think about it like this. Like when we went to start Prism, right? Out of like, if we were absolutely nobodies, there was no following from Buff Nerds, Jakob Owens, Tom, Tropic, anything, right? And me and you were just filmmakers, and we had, successful careers as cinematographers or whatever. And we all of a sudden started Prism. How do we get Prism out in front of people? If we don't have a following, we have to spend a lot of money to like buy ad space or make ads and pay for marketing to get it out there. But it's also a lot harder to like, what's the term, like acquire a customer versus if someone already like follows you and believes in your stuff and likes what you do. It's way easier to get them to like buy into what you're doing than trying to like acquire a customer via like ad spend. You know what I mean? Like it's so hard to get people.
And in our instance where we are doing a lot of advertising, and we get that all the time, like, oh, I just saw one of your ads, from a friend of ours or whatever. As we're running ads, naturally, if you're someone who's a cold audience, and cold meaning someone who's never seen our brand, knows nothing of us, and they go and click on the, little icon, and it loads a page with like 200 followers and maybe some mediocre content, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is just like a gimmicky brand or whatever. But if I click on that ad and it's actually an established brand, it's funny how we use, the amount of followers as like a way of like being not like verified in terms of blue 100%. Check, but like if 243K people get this or following this like phone charger brand, I would be more inclined to be like, oh, this is probably like legit versus like 220. I'd be like, oh, this is like some drop shipping company. You know what I mean?
100%.
So maybe that's in the lens of a brand, but as filmmakers, naturally, as we grow up or, grow and scale, we are a brand. The way we approach projects and clients, we are representatives of our own brand. And maybe your own name, LLC, or maybe you've got a choral production company, like you want to grow your brand and presence.
I mean, online social media is everything today, from, getting sales, but to acquiring customers and clients. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many jobs I've landed just off of my social media and like people who have followed me. And like, for example, the ASU baseball show, this ASU baseball documentary show that I ended up shooting for 6 months, the guy who was the director and producer on that project had followed me for like 2 to 3 years on Instagram, loved my work, saw I was shooting a football show of which I was posting to my Instagram, stories, frames, etc. I was like, oh, he does sports too. And he hit me up through Instagram. Never met him before. We didn't have a mutual connection or relationship anywhere else other than he followed me on social media. He hit me up on social media. We met and I took on the project, but I got that job because of my social media presence, my following, the work I would post on there, the work I would share on there. And so, I mean, it's instrumental to, like you said, even just like getting opportunities, getting jobs, and I've never really had a problem like sharing stuff on there, sharing my work or sharing frames. But I know a lot of people struggle with like how to like what to share. And so
let me actually frame it this way, since I feel like you are probably a more model citizen or model example of someone who really utilizes those platforms. I will be the first to admit my Instagram presence is pretty whack. Let me maybe actually structure this to where I just speed around, ask you questions about social media to where someone listening can actually like walk away with some nuggets of info. Because I was just saying how great it is. Maybe won't actually teach anybody, but if I'm asking you like, so here's the first question. What would be the one, and this is kind of shorter, core piece of advice you'd recommend for someone to grow their account quickly? That could be consistency. That can be finding like an aesthetic. It could be...
Don't worry about aesthetic.
Frequency. So dive in.
Content. Just as much content as possible that is like, I think it's the 3 E's: engaging, educational, and exciting. Like if you can hit like all 3 of those, is it educational? Is there something about it that's educational? Is it entertaining? And is there something, I think it's exciting. Like if you kind of hit those pillars, like, and just as much of it as you can, because you never know what's going to hit and win and what's not. Who cares if, something doesn't really do crazy numbers, because, you never know when the next thing could, especially today, like with the way like TikTok works and like how Instagram Reels now is working. Like I'll have a reel that maybe only gets 5,000 plays, but then I'll have a bunch that do 200, 400,000, 500,000. I've had a couple that do 1 million. And honestly, it's been the ones that hit like 700,000 or 1 million that like I just randomly threw together and thought this is just like a filler piece that have gone crazy. And then the ones I feel like I put so much time and energy into, I'm like, oh, this is going to crush. Like does like 50,000. And I'm like, oh, dude. That's so it's funny. Like it's just content. Put as much content out there as possible.
In terms of Instagram, should someone care or put much effort into the way the grid looks in terms of the row of 3s?
I did, bro. Early on, I did. But
I feel like it can handicap you though.
It can handicap you, but I think that was also more so in the age of like sharing photos. Of Instagram. Instagram is so much more now like a video platform. Yeah.
Because I feel like the photos, you want to curate the user's experience. And if it's like pizza, sneakers, film camera, I'm like, well, what am I looking at? What kind of creator is this? But if it's like kind of all looking of the same. So I know that there can be 2 sides of that coin.
It just depends on, what your goal is. If you want to be taken super serious for your work and only share your final frames that look beautiful, more power to you. But if you want to really grow an audience, you need to share content that's educational and that informs. And, then you can leverage that audience in the future when you want to start. Maybe you, as a cinematographer, you have an idea like Prism Lens Effects, and it's easier to now start that company and leverage getting that going because you've built this following. Yeah. But you're not going to build that following just sharing cool frames. So like you might build for sure like a core audience of people who appreciate great cinematography, but so I don't know.
What would be something that you recommend not doing? It's something that you found doesn't work, waste of time. Maybe someone looking to grow their page is like, you know what, don't even bother. And I know that could be circumstantial.
I think right now it's just posting photos. If you're posting photos, why? Post a video. Like if you post a photo of your desktop editing setup, just post a phone video that's a reel set to music instead.
I saw this one YouTuber, I think his name's like Chris Howe or Ha, I don't know how to say his name. And he made a funny like skit about like someone handing a guy a photo and like a guy playing, I think it was himself playing it, how like he like crumples it up and goes, here you go. And like, I don't know, it's like kind of true, like how Instagram is.
No, I mean, think about it, man. It's the digital age right now and the way people consume short form content. It's like,
isn't it funny how TikTok completely changed everything. In the same way that maybe like, I know I found probably sound like a boomer saying this, but like Facebook, you know, at the time that Facebook kind of came on the scene, I think I was in high school. Like I was using like MySpace and like AOL Instant Messenger, and I'm probably dating myself saying that. And like instantly, isn't it funny like how you just dropped MySpace like a sack of potatoes? Like, oh, of course you have. Remember Facebook, the wall, and you could like have your top 8, but it's like, I don't know. It was just, or I think top 8 was MySpace, but your wall was like your feed. You know? Yeah.
I mean, it's just
now TikTok is like that for what that was.
But the interesting thing about TikTok, I almost said TikTok or whatever. TikTok is so I spoke at Azusa Pacific today, the directing class there, and someone asked kind of a question about social media and was just asking like, hey, did that help you? Did social media really help you like push all your businesses forward? It sounds like it did, et cetera. And then he asked about TikTok, and TikTok, although it probably, I think now has more users than Instagram, I think personally, TikTok is a place where people more so go to quickly get away and get some entertainment, but they're not really following people to where they're like fully engaged in these people's lives and what they have going on. It's more of like a quick little entertainment, this and that. Whereas like YouTube and even so more Instagram is like a more long-term, just really engaged. I can actually see that.
You know I feel like if you go on YouTube, you may have, even though you've maybe never met that person, I feel like I know to some degree like what Marquez Brownlee or Casey Neistat are like, because their videos are so long and you kind of get an idea of who that person is. But someone making like a comedy sketch, like I couldn't even really tell you one that comes to mind. That's a good point. I think TikTok is better for escaping or maybe learning some hacks, but in like camera hacks or whatever your thing might be. But yeah, I feel like,
you get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But it's a good vehicle to drive traffic to those other platforms. Like a lot of people, I think on TikTok are trying to drive their audience on TikTok to follow them on YouTube and Instagram because they know that's the long-term game.
Or maybe there's a world in which like they're making a YouTube video and making a reduced piece of content that like lives on. And that's where it gets kind of mind-numbing is like, damn, this video / audio, there's so many ways that this could live, right? There could be a 1x1 square that lives on the feed. There could be a snippet that lives in like 4x5 on story. So it's like, you almost have to like frame the pieces of content you're making, if that's behind the scenes, the final project, and like where it lives. And even our ad agency, I'll have like a long list of specs of like, hey, I need you to make this graphic that's announcing this spring sale we're doing, right? And 1200 by 628, that's the YouTube size. 1000 by 1000, that's the Instagram size. And like all the different sizes, and it's just like, damn, like, because those are the different ad placements, you know.
Well, even going into the TikTok thing, like none of our accounts or businesses or me or you have like a TikTok, right? And like I was just like, man, like I know I want to start posting to there. I kind of need to, and so we got this app, that allows you to like basically rip the reels without the logo of Instagram. And I've been taking those reels that have been performing well and like repurposing them on TikTok and uploading them to our Prism Lens Effects TikTok account. And there's been some that have blown up, you know what I mean? And so, and in the film class today, there were several students that literally, no joke, they didn't know who I was, but someone brought up, we were talking about this kind of stuff, and I brought up like, hey, I posted, this reel on TikTok, or not reel, I posted this TikTok about my film ranch where I was like, hey, over the last 2 years, I've built this film ranch, and no joke, everyone was like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've
That's
seen
crazy.
that. Literally every single person in the room, all but one, was like, oh, I've seen that TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy the power of TikTok. But that led to, you know, both like our honeymoon account, Prism account, and Eclectic over the different TikToks I've posted. They've been going, the Instagram accounts have been going up in followers. You know what I mean? Because I think people, they get that quick fix of entertainment on TikTok, but then they want to go follow that account or that thing, that business, that person over on a more, I don't know, engaging platform in terms of long-term like investment, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, I mean, even to when you were with me the day I made that reel about Eclectic, and it just blew up and kind of like went viral really quickly. And Eclectic's Instagram went from like 6,000 or 7,000 to 12,000, like that by the end of the day, or 9,000 by the end of the day. And I think now we're sitting somewhere over 17,000 at Eclectic. So it's like, the power, and all of those new, basically 10,000 people are potential customers.
Sure.
And if even 1% of that 10,000 people, you know, 100 people book a full day shoot at some point in the next couple of years, like that's a lot of money.
For sure.
So I think the power of social media, you have to be willing to create content, post it, not be worried too much about like, what if this doesn't do well, or what are people going to think of this? Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I post that people are like, yo, Jake is so cringe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
who knows? I mean, I'm maybe more of like an introvert, so I'm maybe not, I've gotten better like with even just recording in here, but I've always kind of been more of like a behind the camera kind of person, hence being an operator. So kind of like grabbing my phone and I'm maybe not the best at that. And maybe some people listening are like, fuck, is that what I have to do to like make it? And I don't think so. There's different kinds of creators. There's creators that I follow that are so like low energy that are successful. I think it is just like consistency. And I think I don't know, maybe you can touch on, but I feel like on YouTube, I've watched or listened to a lot of creators talk about it, which is like the algorithm and like how you kind of maybe cater to that. And one of the biggest things on YouTube that I think a lot of creators share is being consistent, like every week putting something out.
Right.
Because if you start to like not post as frequently, I think you start to like move down. Like when you go to your subscribers on YouTube, like the top 5 creators on your little list in the sidebar are usually the ones that are posting the most. And I think YouTube knows you engage with them the most.
Yeah.
And if you scroll all the way down, you're like, oh fuck, I forgot I subscribed to this channel. It's someone who just hasn't posted in like months.
Yeah. No, I
so
agree with that.
I think maybe that's a YouTube one, but I think Instagram's the same way. Like, I don't know if they went back to the time or post being posted like
I don't think so. Yeah. But the interesting thing, Instagram, they're running a trial right now, is being paid through Reels, like by posting Reels and getting money.
I saw that.
So like I just, on my personal...
Wait, can you use copyrighted like sounds?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So like any of the music that's obviously like the original sounds or music within the app or whatever, like I've posted a couple Reels, and you know, not life-changing money by any means, but it, you know, money's money to just post content. Like, why not?
No, it's funny. In our last episode, we were talking about how DJI kind of came on the market after like Movi was doing their thing, and it's so funny. Like Instagram is just sort of like, no, we're gonna do that too. You know, in the same spirit.
Dude, they did it with Snapchat, stealing like Snapchat stories and they just come in and kill everything. It's like, I get that you like want to obviously keep your finger on the pulse, but I also feel like there's value in certain apps just staying in their lane. Like YouTube never made like a social media, like it's like, you know what, we're a search engine that has cool creators, like, and they haven't really strayed too far from that. They do have stories and shorts now though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not, I just feel like the core of that platform has remained the same, like pretty long form videos, I guess with the exception of the shorts, which those are interesting. I don't know if I can really speak too much on those. You can't like skip ahead, which I don't know, maybe I'm doing them wrong, but anyone I've watched, they're usually like 30 seconds and you kind of just have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it, and just because also I haven't really posted much to YouTube anymore. I've kind of,
but I noticed some creators, their shorts have stupid views where it's probably the same thing. They're probably able to like place it in front of more people since it is shorter. So you just get like way more impressions, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because I mean, someone listening right now might be like, oh man, I'm a director from so-and-so city and like, I just don't have time. I'm like so busy with directing and editing. And I think it is like a double-edged sword where, you maybe are focused on those tasks as a creator, but I do think you might be doing yourself a disservice because at the end of the day, if you really do want to make money from the filmmaking or photography or whatever creative endeavor you're doing, I feel like having a social media presence is a way to have more reach. And if you're a director DMing artists like, love your song, would love to work, that artist is going to click on your profile, kind of like our parents look through yellow pages. You're like, look up a business. Like those artists are going to look at your page.
Like your portfolio.
And if they're not like seeing something that they like, or you only have like 200 followers, that follower, unfortunately, is kind of like a litmus test of like, are you popping or not?
Right.
You know? So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think for me, I mean, and certain people want to work with certain people just because they are popping. Maybe they're not the best director or best cinematographer, but if they're popping and they can help them get views too, or, you know, just that mutual association, people, I mean, for sure, like people want to collab with people that have numbers, you know what I mean? And so, but yeah, I mean, social media has helped me tremendously. It's helped our businesses tremendously. The only thing, man, the downside of it, man, is like, I think that dark hole you get caught in sometimes. Sometimes I get so consumed with what social media content pieces I can like post or make or create next that I almost neglect the actual filmmaking side of things and like the stuff that needs to be done. It's like focusing on like coming up with a new film or an idea for a project, or like I find myself not writing that music video treatment brief that's sitting in my email because I'm like just like making reels and like what else could I make?
Which are super imperative or important for the brands that we have. So it is kind of a tightrope.
It's like, that tightrope, double-edged sword. Like,
well, I mean, if you think about it, there's actual businesses, and I know this for a fact because like my little brother's like fiance literally does this. Like there are people whose whole job is just to be a social media person for that brand. Yeah. And that's what she like all day, every day, 9 to 5. Literally she just does social media. So like you are kind of doing the job of what usually is like a full-time job for somebody on top of everything else. So it is a lot
for like so many different Instagrams too.
Because in theory, each of our brands would have that person. Yeah. You know, so that's crazy. So this is coming out in the end of April, and I wanted to see what your hot take is on, since we're talking about social media, what are your thoughts of Elon buying Twitter? Because that's kind of wavy, right?
Dude, so I love it. I think that's awesome. He's getting a lot of backlash because he's rich, but I think what a lot of people don't understand is Jeff Bezos literally owns the Washington Post. No one's calling him out. So it's like, homie literally bought a newspaper and it's like, oh yeah, all hail Jeff Bezos. But someone like bought a app that's kind of been pretty like, just like,
not even to get into politics, but just like the fact that it like can just like
silence someone.
Yeah. Or like decide to make something trend and not something else.
Like why not just scary to people like that? People, because they have a differing viewpoint, opinion, that someone can just shut them down. And so people's argument is like, oh, they're a private company, they can do what they want. And it's like, totally understood, but that doesn't mean it's not scary or like wrong, because now you're messing with the freedom of speech. And like I mean, it's just, to me, that's crazy. And when I never
really use Twitter, but I feel like it is kind of like a town square for like conversation. You have like different 100%. People so I don't know, I know this was more maybe an educational thing, but that just happened like a few days ago.
That's not to say like, obviously if there's like bullying, harassment, like that person should be shut down. But like if you're just talking about, you know,
a point of view,
people that have points of views that are expressing their thoughts, that's what Twitter's supposed to be, a platform to tweet your thoughts. Yeah. And if you can't do that because someone on their headquarters disapproves of, doesn't like that person, it's like, yo, let's ban this person because we don't like what they're saying. Sure. Like that's so dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of like, even on other platforms like shadow banning and stuff, like someone we're working with now helped a YouTuber who was making a lot of content about like gun safety and gun training videos. The fact that his video just had a gun in it got shadow banned, no views. They would delete the video, and it wasn't even like a violent video or him saying like, I'm gonna do X and Y with my, he was literally just showing people how to like be safe with a gun, and like that content got flagged. So it's like kind of interesting, and I think good that now we have like maybe a social media platform that could be a little bit more open to all points of view, you know. But that just happened. So I was like, oh, like if we're doing a social media episode, definitely got to drop that in there, you know.
That is crazy. I mean, more power to Elon. Hopefully he does good things with the platform. And dude, my Twitter, like I used to have a good solid pop in Twitter, and it got deleted due to some copyright song I used in a trailer and posted.
I wonder if like he'll kind of like let you back, you know.
I don't think that's up to him though. Yeah, I don't even know how. that'd be sick one day if I could just try and log back into my old Twitter and I was just like reinstated.
No, I saw one of the features he wants to add is like you can have a longer tweet and you can actually do an edit button. So like if down the road there's a typo, you can just like tweak it. And
because
I love that feature. Like in Slack, sometimes I'll send a message to our team and I'm like,
shit.
Frick, you know, I was like texting and driving and I'm like, I can go back and like tweak it. And like, why wouldn't you want an edit button?
Right.
Remember when 100%. Instagram didn't have an edit button for the longest time?
I don't remember that.
No, there was a time where you'd have to like delete the whole thing and dude, it was crap. Like
I don't remember that. Damn. But no, 100%. I think you're right. Yeah.
No, 100%. It didn't have an edit button. Like your post, you could not edit it initially. Now it just says like edited. In parentheses.
No, you gotta have that. Like it's just, bro, phones are too small to like get everything perfect. It's hard to see. Thumbs are big. Like you gotta let an edit button slide. Yeah, for sure.
And then the last social media, which I think it's safe to say no one uses, is probably LinkedIn, right?
I don't use it. I know people that do.
I think
but
it probably works really well for like Silicon Valley entrepreneur. I think just as a creative person, since Instagram and YouTube are like visual platform, they're driven by visual content. That's where I'm at. But yeah, it's funny. I think I signed up for one so long ago.
Same.
And I literally, to this day, I probably could check my inbox where LinkedIn's like, hey, someone liked your thing on LinkedIn. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, why am I still getting these? You know?
I know I have a profile somewhere and like there's probably people that requested and sent messages and stuff, but it just doesn't. Yeah, it's not for us. It's not for us, not for our industry. I mean, I guess it could be, but it's just. Yeah, it's never someone.
Maybe like a exec or, you know, I just feel like if you're in the trenches making content, like how are you going to like upload your video to your LinkedIn?
And creatives aren't on LinkedIn for that reason to engage and watch content. It's just to connect with, business professionals. But even then, like Instagram's an easier place to connect and be like, hey, let's meet up or collab, So yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, so today was just kind of a quick take on social media, why it's important, how it's helped our brands. And I think if there's any takeaway to it, it is just to be consistent with it. I think as we pick up new routines, maybe that's going to the gym, running, trying to pick up a new habit, you really do have to stick with it. And that's something I can even like to my core, like admit that I struggle with because I find myself when I start my day, I have so much in front of me as far as like things I need to shoot, things I need to edit, where like I even just know opening and try to formulate something since you're also so good at it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to dive into my work. And like, I could even maybe take my own advice of like, you know what, today from these 30 minutes, I'm going to do some piece of content.
That also speaks to our relationship in the working relationship, which is good. Like I can handle all that stuff. Yes, it's a lot, but I handle that. And then you focus on some of the other tasks that need to get done that isn't social media. And so there's that good balance. But yeah, if you're a one-man solo band.
Yeah, and this is kind of maybe for that person who's like doing both, right? They're maybe starting to build their video production business or photography business.
Right.
And they want to, you know, it's just like, it is a lot to juggle. So maybe like the word of wisdom would be, just carve out some time if that's morning or evening or in the middle of your day when you have like kind of a bit of a gap. Yeah, try to really maybe commit to it because it can be a little daunting at first, but we've definitely, you know, gotten the benefits of it, you know, working.
Yeah, again, super important. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put your work out there. You got to put content out there. If you don't put anything out into the world, nobody's going to see your stuff. I mean, if you don't post stuff, it won't be seen, period. You know, so you have to get out there, share your work, make content, put yourself out there in the world, be vulnerable, and just share stuff. So.
Yeah, honestly, don't even really care if it gets engagement or anything. I even made like a quicker, small take where I think we didn't have an episode where it was like simply about just putting your work out there. And I think sometimes we get crippled by the metrics, the views, the likes, the comments, and we may post something we put a lot of effort and it only gets 2 comments.
Shoot, even with this podcast, we don't get a lot of views, you know what I mean? But like we still do it because we enjoy it. We want to help you guys and inform you guys. And
if we did this for trying to go viral, I think we would have been doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And we simply just set out to like have a conversation, have people listen and maybe get something out of it. Because I know I have on my phone, a handful of podcasts. We're on a long drive. I arrive to my destination informed or I've learned something and I would love that this is maybe that for somebody. So but no, if we set out to just, let's make a thing that goes viral, I think we'd be doing it for like the wrong reasons.
100%.
So, but yeah, anyways, give us like or subscribe.
Comment, subscribe, like, leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. And hopefully, you guys enjoy the podcast. Please engage with it so it does help get it out there more. That would be super appreciative.
Yeah. If you have some filmmaker or creative friends, definitely, put them onto it. It'd be really cool to just continue to grow this and make this for people.
Put it right there in their ear. Just a little whisper right in their ear.
But cool. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.